When I saw their work, I was pretty surprised. Polished, beautifully polished creative essays. We both realized that almost 69% students had in fact used ChatGPT and some other AI tool to complete the work. And the brain is the way the brain is designed, it is designed for efficiency. So the brain says that, okay, why should I struggle hard? Why don't I just take the easy way out? Whether it's because of academic pressures, because both parents are working, children find themselves without any companionship. And who is there to fill this companionship? Well, good old Mr. AI. And that's what our children have got used to using AI, using social media. But now comes the cap, now comes the real issue. AI is saying, I will help you create that version of yourself that you want to show to the world. Very recently, I was observing a class in class 5 in a school a few days ago, and the teacher and I were discussing about, and she'd given them an assignment on writing. When I saw their work, I was pretty surprised. Polished, beautifully polished creative essays. And then I looked at the teacher quizzically, and then she sort of shrugged herself. And I probed deeper. We both realized that almost 69% students had in fact used ChatGPT and some other AI tool to complete the work. And when I probed even more deeper, I realized that only 22% could actually explain what they had written. So the topic that we are discussing today is not just timely, it is critical. Because what we are realizing more and more is that AI is not just challenging how we are doing and what we are doing, but AI is challenging the relationship children have with learning itself. So the critical question to ask ourselves is not what AI can do for us, but even before that, what is AI doing to us and to our children? And that is what I would like to spend a little time on. So I'm going to actually look at two aspects. One is what causes this dependency on AI? Why has AI become so attractive for our children? The very first point that we can actually explain is via um, is via the neurological aspects. Uh, what happens typically in a brain when a child is studying, when a child is solving a problem, and child is writing something, he's thinking about it, the prefrontal cortex gets activated. When the prefrontal cortex gets activated, that's the seat of reasoning and judgment. And what happens as a result, when the task is completed, the dopamine is released. Now, what is AI doing? AI is actually instantly providing the answers, right? And so because of this, there's a quick dopamine hit that the child quickly gets. Now, continued usage of AI, what happens in the brain is that the brain starts looking at completing the task quickly as opposed to taking time for completing the task. So the long-term struggle that the brain requires, because the brain is after all like a muscle, so just the way that we need our body to we need to exercise our body to develop our muscles and good health. In the same way, the brain requires this struggle. But what AI is doing is, because of this instant results that it's giving, it allows this dopamine on demand factor to come in. Children more and more, as they use AI, they kind of are pushing they're offloading their cognitive thinking to the AI. And so this is changing the very internal structure of the prefrontal cortex. And the brain is the way the brain is designed, it is designed for efficiency. So the brain says that, okay, why should I struggle hard? Why don't I just take the easy way out? So constantly the dependency on the AI starts developing over a period of time. This is what neuroscientists are calling the effort minimizing loop. And you can imagine that if the internal architecture of the prefrontal cortex, the seat of reasoning and judgment, if that is changed, you can imagine how much problem this is going to cause in times to come. The second is the psychological factors. Real life is messy. When a child is growing up, he has problems with his friends, with his parents. There is negotiation, there's persuasion, there is persistence. What happens in AI? The child tends to then start coming in contact with an entity which is completely frictionless. So when there is no ridicule, there is no disagreement, there is no absolutely no consequence of being the way that you think you want to be, the child's ability to actually connect emotionally completely gets affected, and this causes emotional weakness in a child. So real life, so the point that's Shri Kumarji said about the empathy and about persistence and about grit, the psychological aspects, the emotional aspects, they start getting compromised because the child is looking for an easy way out. The third aspect is that of the social aspect. Now, in the social aspect, more and more I'm observing, and I'm sure you would agree as well, is that children are tending to spend a lot of time on their own at home. Whether it's because of academic pressures, because both parents are working, children find themselves without any companionship. And who is there to fill this companionship? Well, good old Mr. AI. And Mr. AI is there to fill in the gap and provide what I call as pseudo companionship, because it is there agreeing with you, empathizing with you, validating your existence, never challenging you, never questioning you, never giving you negative feedback. It's always available. So from depending on a friend who is not going to agree with you, this social structure. When I was a child and when you were children, we had the park, we had we used to go outside and play. There were events. How many times have you seen an event today where children are still stuck on the mobiles? So this void has taken over. The preference has been developed for spending time on the device and with AI because of this pseudo companionship. The fourth is educational. Our system, unfortunately, rewards grades and marks over the process of actually working hard. And AI definitely provides this, instant answers, flawless works. Of course, there is a lot of times there are errors, but because of this instant answers that it provides, the child realizes, why should I work thinking? Why should I take the trouble? I'm getting all the answers from AI. And so definitely there is a dependence on it. The last factor is cultural. Now, when you're looking at cultural, we are living in a society where it is important to show the best version of yourself, and that's what our children have got used to using AI, using social media. But now comes the cap. Now comes the real issue. AI is saying, I will help you create that version of yourself that you want to show to the world. So there is complete lack of authenticity that children are exhibiting, and over a period of time, the very identity of children is getting compromised. So these are the five factors that are sort of pushing the children to descent into social isolationism and disconnectedness. I want to explain this using one last diagram, what I call as the 4Ds. The first is dopamine hijacking. The brain gets instantly addicted. This causes deterioration in the social emotional regulation, the empathy, etc. There is distortion of reality. AI becomes a comfort zone. And then finally, there is disconnectedness. As a result, children detach from real relationships and, sort of develop. There is this change in the architecture of the mind and the heart. AI can speak, but it can't feel. It feels warmth, but is the warmth real? It solves and creates fast. Perhaps students learn information gain, but is it really insight? So the idea is not to move away from AI. The idea is to occupy that human space, which is critical for children to grow and to learn. Allow children to focus, allow as teachers for us to focus on is what machines cannot give: the courage to feel, the courage to fail, the courage to live.